Peter Jeffries, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time. And there's so much I want to talk to you about, including the economy and what your members are doing and everything happening out there I think our viewers should know about. I do want to start with the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, because there's so much people are wondering about what can be done to bring him home. I mean, his attorney said it might take a contempt order from a judge to prompt the Trump administration to return him from El Salvador. There are some who are calling for Congress, of which the Republicans are in charge, to compel people to testify. You're the Democratic leader, but you're in the minority. I think it's important for people to understand. What, if any, power, for people who are watching at home, do you have? What power do you have and other Democratic members to compel, push the government to bring him home?
Well, we have the power to shape public sentiment, and at the end of the day, making sure that public sentiment in this case understands that the treatment of Mr. Abrego Garcia, is unconscionable, unacceptable, and un-American. And if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. And it's going to be incredibly important for every member of Congress. Certainly, we plan to do this on the Democratic side, both in the House and in the Senate, to intensify the pressure on the Trump administration to comply with the Supreme Court's directive, and the Supreme Court and/or the federal district court actually needs to enforce its order. And the vehicles that are available for the court to do that relate to contempt. And that contempt can be directed at a variety of different members of the Trump administration, including but not limited to the Secretary of State and/or his or her designees, and the Secretary of Homeland Security and/or his or her designees for the court to determine.
It sounds like you're saying you think the court should hold some members of the administration in contempt. Anyone else you want to mention there?
Well, I think what the court needs to do is to set a deadline as it relates to compliance with the quasi-directive that came down from the Supreme Court related to returning Mr. Garcia. Specify that, and then make sure that it happens. And at the same period of time, I think, as you've seen, and there's been some great leadership from Senator Chris Van Hollen, who apparently indicated earlier today that either his constituent is returned or he plans to go to El Salvador himself. And that's exactly the type of action that, as members of Congress, we can do to highlight the injustice, dramatize and amplify it, and force the administration to comply, which in this instance, I believe we will make sure happens.
One of the things I know that you're often under pressure to do is not be alarmist, but also sound the alarm when needed. And I wanted to, it's a tricky balance you have to strike, I understand. We played earlier this sound of Donald Trump in the Oval Office suggesting that homegrown criminals, as he called them, which is again how he defines them, which is an important point, could be sent to jail in El Salvador. And look, we can all agree that there are some dangerous criminals in our country, but this is clearly a step, at least as I heard it, much further. And it sounded to me like he was leaving the door open to deport American citizens for any range of reasons. Yes, maybe they committed crimes. Maybe it's people he doesn't like. Well, how did you hear his comments?
Well, to be clear, it can't happen, and we will never allow it to happen. And it's also unclear whether Donald Trump sometimes says these things to distract the American people from the fact that he's failing in a wide variety of areas, including as it relates to the economy. Trump and the Republicans are crashing the American economy in real time, hurting people and driving us toward a recession. Now, we have to take him seriously. He's the president of the United States of America. It would be unlawful and unconstitutional for Donald Trump to attempt to do the things that he's suggesting relative to American citizens. And we are going to have to make sure vigilantly that he doesn't even dare go anywhere close to taking that step.
Well, let's turn to the economy. I know that's on front and center in your mind, obviously, and front and center in the minds of your members. I started the show by talking about his weakness on the economy. We're seeing that in poll after poll. We're hearing that from small business owners and farmers all around the chaos of tariffs. I also wanted to ask you, though, because Republicans, everyone's going to come back in a couple of weeks, and there's going to be a focus on this budget bill. And there's a piece in there, the House Energy and Commerce Committee is looking to cut, as I read, $880 billion from the programs under its jurisdiction, including Medicaid. You would know better than almost anyone how that could happen. Is there any way to do that without massive cuts to Medicaid, in your view?
No, not at all. And listen, we have the Republicans and Donald Trump on the run on 3 different issues, and we're going to continue to press our case before the American people. We have them on the run as it relates to the economy. They promised to lower costs. In fact, on day one, they haven't lowered costs. Costs are going up, and they are recklessly driving us toward a recession. We have them on the run as it relates to Social Security. As Democrats, we want to protect and strengthen Social Security. Republicans believe that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, and they are trying to dismantle the Social Security Administration. And we certainly have them on the run as it relates to their plans connected to Medicaid, because they want to visit upon the American people the largest Medicaid cut in American history. It will hurt children, hurt families, hurt women, hurt people with disabilities, and hurt older Americans in nursing homes, as well as close hospitals all across this country. It's outrageous what they want to do, and we're going to fight it every step of the way and try to stop the Republicans from taking a dime away from Medicaid when we go back into session.